Good afternoon. My name is Mickey Kataria, and welcome to the Android for Cars session at Google I/O. Thank you. It's hard for me to believe that this is now our sixth year at Google I/O talking about Android and cars. Here's our first time back in 2014 when we unveiled Android Auto on stage at Moscone in San Francisco. A fun fact from that day, by the way, the sled that we had up on stage was actually one of our first test Kia Soul cars that we transformed specifically for that purpose. Rest assured, it's since found a happy home in our team area where we still use it every day for demos and testing. Even before Android Auto, our investments and commitments in the industry go back almost 15 years at Google. We know that cars stay on the road for a very long time and are an important part of people's daily lives. That's why, over the last decade, we've continued to only increase our investments and broaden our partnerships with the automotive industry. And we expect that trend to continue for the coming decade as well. One thing that's remained constant throughout all of those years is our vision, and that is to bring a safe and seamless, connected experience into every car. A big part of making that experience and this vision a reality is to have a consistent, reliable, and extensible platform like Android that enables us to bring modern services easily into the car. And with Android as that underlying platform, we think we can seamlessly connect the user's digital life from outside of the car to what's happening inside of the car. What that means is the same apps and services that you use on your phones, laptops, other smart devices, those same apps and services can be brought easily into the car with Android as a shared underlying platform. And if we do our job well, we think that the experience in the car will be very personalized and deeply integrated. I've personally had the opportunity to build and shape many of the in-car products that we've brought to market over the years, and they've gone through three phases of investment. We started back in 2005 when we first worked with Audi and VW to bring Google Earth into their cars. It's a great product. It's still on the road today. Many drivers still going with it. But the challenge was taking a desktop app, a client app like Google Earth, and porting it to run on a proprietary platform. That required a lot of effort, and we found it virtually impossible to keep the software up to date over time. So we pivoted in our second phase of investment to a different approach. We started to open up cloud-based APIs, primarily in maps and local, so that connected cars could pull in specific features like Street View as shown here, and incorporate them and tie them into the built-in car navigation systems. You can see many of these cars on the road today from partners like Tesla, BMW, Mercedes, and many more. And while the API approach meant that we didn't have to port any client software into cars, what we didn't anticipate was how ubiquitous and common smartphones would become over that period of time. So much so that drivers were increasingly turning to familiar and intuitive applications on their phones, even when they had access to these in-car advanced navigation systems. So finally, in our third and most recent phase of investment, what brings us here today, we looked at the phone strategy and we saw how important it was to have Android as a common platform that could enable us and developers everywhere to bring services, modern services, easily into the car and build great, up-to-date experiences. And that is how we started the effort to bring Android into cars. One of the first investments behind in-car products is on the phone screen itself. With more than 1 billion cars on the road today, we know that the phone is a part of many, many drives already. And we want to do our part to make that experience safer as well. At the I/O keynote this morning, you heard about the Google Assistance driving mode. Here you see it displayed in a dark theme. This driving mode is a new way to use your phone in a safer and helpful way in your car. This project brings together the best of designing for a driving experience from several teams across Google, including the Android Auto team, and it also represents the next step and evolution of the Android Auto phone screen experience. Stay tuned for more details as we migrate users from the Android Auto phone screen experience to the Google Assistant's driving mode later this year. Beyond the phone screen, we have two major products for the car screen itself. The first is Android Auto, which we unveiled in 2014 and launched to consumers in 2015. This has Android Auto technology running on the phone and integrating with compatible cars to bring your favorite apps and services directly to the car screen. And then you can interact with these apps and services in a natural way using your car's touchscreen, rotary controller, or otherwise. Meanwhile, all the software is running on the phone. It's exciting for us to see that since 2015, Android Auto has become virtually an industry standard. And it's also humbling for us to see that consumers will increasingly not buy a new car if it ships without Android Auto. The second major product for the car screen is the Android Automotive OS. This is Android running in the car as the embedded infotainment platform. And it powers a much deeper, more seamless experience for everything from navigating with Google Maps, to listening to music with Spotify, to controlling vehicle functions like cabin or seat temperature. We can also enable richer user experiences, like showing contextual visual maps, as you see in the cluster display here, as infotainment itself expands from being in one central screen to multiple screens and gets more deeply integrated into the car as well. And unlike Android Auto, your apps and services are running on the car, so it doesn't matter what kind of phone you have, or even if you forgot your phone at home. The name Android Automotive OS, by the way, is directed primarily towards developers so that they know the underlying platform for which they're developing their services is based on Android. We think consumers are more likely to notice familiar brands that they already use on their smart devices like Google Maps or iHeartRadio or Spotify when they're in the market looking at one of these cars that's powered by Android under the hood. One of the questions that we sometimes get when we talk about these two projects side by side is Android Automotive OS going to replace Android Auto? The short answer is no. We think that both products, both experiences will continue to grow for a long time and ultimately offer both users and our OEM partners a choice in what to bring into the car. We also think that the phone and the car will actually work together better over time to create the best experience possible for drivers and passengers. You can see some of that today already as cars rely on phones for things like making phone calls. And we think that experience will get better and tighter so that when you do have your phone with you, the entire experience of the phone and the car working together will be truly seamless. So with that, I want to focus on Android Auto for a couple of minutes and talk about the fantastic momentum that we've been seeing over the last year. And I'll touch on how that momentum is coming together through growth, hardware, and software. In terms of global reach, Android Auto is available today in 36 markets. We added 5 more markets in the last few months, and rest assured, we know that there are many more markets to reach out there, and we are working hard to get into many, many more of those in the coming months. On the partnership front, Android Auto is already available in more than 500 car models from more than 50 different brands. Earlier this year, Toyota announced that they will be shipping cars with Android Auto from later this year. We are very, very excited to have them on board and working together to reach more and more drivers. With Toyota on board, nearly every major global automotive OEM is now shipping Android Auto compatible cars, and together, these committed partners represent more than 95% of the industry. So thank you to our amazing partners for helping us bring this fantastic, safe, and seamless experience to every driver on the road. Google I/O would, of course, not exist without developers. And we've already seen fantastic momentum here, and it's one of the great reasons for the success of Android Auto. We're continuing to see many, many more apps join the Android Auto list of compatible apps, and I just want to highlight a few notable names that have appeared over the last year. With our launch in South Korea, we saw local media apps Bugs and Melon support Android Auto, and we also welcomed Apple Music, YouTube Music, and Google Podcasts to the list of compatible apps. Thank you to all the amazing developers for helping make Android Auto such a fantastic experience for drivers out there. We have a dedicated session for you also tomorrow morning where we talk much more about how to build and adapt your app for cars. And we continue to invest in making our platform and enabling newer and better experiences on top of the solid base that we've already built together. All of these great partnerships and new markets add up to one big number for us. We are on track to have Android Auto in more than 100 million cars in the next year. We are super proud and excited to be able to get this far with all of your support. As I said in the beginning, we know that being in automotive requires a long-term commitment. So getting from our first car in 2015 to our 100 millionth car in 2020 hopefully shows you that we are here for the long run. Switching to hardware improvements that are allowing us to reach more drivers, we recently launched support for touchpad as an input mechanism. So if you have a car with one of these devices, you can now effortlessly navigate the Android Auto UI. We expect more of our partners to be shipping touchpad in their cars, so enabling this now lets us reach more drivers and more users and more cars starting today. Wireless support, which we announced last year, has been an absolute game changer for how you use this product. You no longer have to take the phone out of your pocket or your bag and plug it in. You can get in your car and have Android Auto ready to go by the time you want to drive. We've already seen great support from partners like JVC, Kenwood, and Pioneer who have been shipping aftermarket head units over the last year. And if you are in the market for a new car, you'll be excited to know that the first cars with Android Auto wireless support built in will be shipping before the end of this year. And switching to software improvements, we've hit some pretty big milestones just since last year, and I want to highlight a couple things. First, we launched a new and improved UI for browsing and playback of media. Second, we launched support for search in media apps so that a driver can easily find the exact song or podcast that they're looking for. And third, we launched and enabled support for group messaging, so it's much easier to stay in touch with friends and family when you're on the go with a voice-powered experience. We also released an update recently for widescreens, where Android Auto can now offer a much better seamless experience. For ultra-wide screens, as shown here, we can also have maps and media running side by side, allowing the driver to accomplish more tasks easily while keeping their focus on the road. So beyond some of these features, we also continue to invest deeply in our core UI for Android Auto. Yesterday, we announced some big design improvements to the Android Auto experience that make it easier for consumers to see and access the apps and information that they want. So I'd like to invite Ian Barlow, one of our lead designers who's been working on many of these changes, to come and share some more about what we're doing here.
Thanks, Mickey. We have a lot of really big changes coming to Android Auto soon, and I'm so excited to show them to you today. But before I do, I'd like to talk a little bit about how we got to them, give you a little bit of the backstory. You know, as Mickey mentioned, Android Auto has really become an industry standard for automotive infotainment experiences. People are actually basing their new car purchase decisions on whether the car has Android Auto. Well, that's amazing. But we also know that there's still room for improvement, and we haven't gotten everything right along the way. We've heard from our users that there are some core usability problems with the current system. And it hasn't really been updated in the last 4 years, and it feels kind of out of date. And so we've been thinking about this a lot. How do we evolve the user experience of the product to feel more intuitive? And how do we elevate the design language to feel more modern and like it's actually made for the car? You know, some of you may even remember last year at I/O, we previewed some of the concepts that we've been working on. Well, today I'm going to go into a lot more detail and show you specifically what's coming next on Android Auto. We've completely overhauled the design language. We've built a system that's more scalable and flexible and adapts to more screen sizes and inputs. And we've refined a lot of those usability issues and crafted an experience that's much more intuitive and feels like a natural extension of your phone in the car. So let's start with the design language. You know, for those of you that use Android Auto, you probably know it looks like an earlier version, like earlier material design product. It has really bright, poppy colors, has kind of a lighter UI theme, and it looks pretty googly, but it also doesn't really fit that well in the car. It looks a little bit out of place. And so we've been thinking about that a lot. And when we set out to refine the design language, we wanted to make something that felt more seamlessly integrated into the car. And so we drew a lot of our inspiration from automotive interior design. The dark color palettes, the neutral themes, sophisticated materials, the way textures and accent colors draw attention to core functions, but that the whole experience is designed to sit back and focus the driver's attention on the road. And we took that inspiration and we combined it with the best of material design to craft an all-new Google design language for driving, a dark UI theme that looks right at home in the car. And so to do that, we actually adapted parts of material design. We took the gray values that existed today and we expanded them to create a richer spectrum in the dark range. That helped us build a more flexible UI and something that looks much more sophisticated. We even refined the material accent blue to make sure that it displayed properly in cars and met contrast. We've also improved the legibility of the system by moving to more extended typefaces like Roboto Regular and Medium, and even Google Sans. We also layered that into a type scale that's easily glanceable and adheres to our strict driver distraction and safety guidelines. And so all of this coalesces into a new visual system that looks right at home in the car, minimizes distraction, and it looks gorgeous. Now, this new system is also designed to be much more scalable and designed so that it can fit into the wider and larger and taller screens that are coming into cars today. So the idea is you can plug your phone into any car, and it'll always be recognizably Android Auto, but it'll always also make the best possible use of the screen that it's on. But as I was saying, it also supports voice and any other input your car supports, whether it has a touch screen, uses a rotary controller, or as Mickey was mentioning, uses a touchpad. But this redesign went so much deeper than aesthetics and scalability alone. We've also made great strides towards improving the overall usability of the system. We've heard from people today, it's hard to switch media apps. When messages come in, they don't know where they go, it's hard to find. And that the whole system feels like something that has to be learned and doesn't feel as intuitive as it could. And so we asked ourselves, how can we improve that? How can we help people get started faster on their drive? How can we simplify the kinds of key tasks that people do while driving? How do we provide the right information at a glance and make it easier for people to access their content in their apps and create a more intuitive experience that feels more like your phone in the car? And so all of these things, the new design language, better scalability, usability improvements, were effectively the building blocks of this new experience. And when you put them all together, here's what it looks like. A brand new version of Android Auto that's easier to use than ever. For drivers, it's a gorgeous new UI that provides the right information at the right time. And for developers, this is an all-new system that's going to increase exposure to your products in the car and it also lays the groundwork for future innovation. So let's take a closer look. First of all, we've completely redesigned the navigation bar to make it easier to access your apps, your notifications, and your Google Assistant. It's quite a bit simpler than it is today. And we did this partly so that we could develop a new kind of system widget that lets you control ongoing content while you're in another app. And so what that means is you could be using Maps to navigate and still have one-tap access to skip songs in your media app, to skip back or forward in your podcast or audiobook. You can even control an ongoing phone call, all while keeping a full view of your map on the screen. And if you do leave Maps for a second, let's say to find something new to listen to, well, that widget adapts itself so you'll always see important next turn information on screen. This is a really powerful new feature, and it provides drivers with the information they need at exactly the right time. We've been driving around with this for the last few months, and I have to say, it is a game changer. Tasks that used to take 3 or 4 taps in the car can now be completed with a single tap. And what's even better is that if you're a developer who already has a media app that runs on Android Auto, this new widget feature will automatically work with your app from day one. There's nothing extra you need to do. We're also making it faster and more intuitive for drivers to access their favorite Android Auto apps through this newly redesigned launcher. This addresses another one of those key usability concerns I had mentioned earlier, where people have a hard time finding the rest of their apps in the system. And for developers, this will also drive more usage for your product because they'll be displayed much more prominently in the Android Auto system. So the launcher is great for starting new experiences, but what about responding to things as they come into the car? Well, the new Android Auto still supports notifications as it does today, so you never miss out on a new phone call as it comes in or a new message. But what's more is we've also moved these into a new dedicated notification center that's always a single tap away in the navigation bar. So when you're driving, you can focus on the road, and you won't have to worry about responding to that message right away if it's not the right time, because you can always easily get back to it with a single tap. Now, in this new Android Auto system, we're also still leveraging the same APIs for both notification-based messaging apps as well as our templatized media app experiences. So again, if you're already along for the journey with us and you've developed an app, either in media or messaging, that works for Android Auto today, there's nothing new that you need to do as part of this new system. Your app will still work, and as you can see, it'll look great, like it was made for the car. We are so excited about this update for Android Auto. It'll be available this summer in all Android Auto-enabled vehicles. But in the meantime, please make sure to swing by our sandbox for a demo in our Hyundai Kona. We'd love to show you more about it. Now I'm going to hand it back to Mickey, who's going to tell you what else we're doing to bring Android into cars.
Thank you, Ian. The new UI looks awesome. Yeah, please come check it out, and we cannot wait to share it with you starting this summer. I'd like to go back now just for a second to our vision statement and really focus on the seamless part of the statement. With the phone-powered UI that's running side by side with the built-in or native experience in the car, we see clear seams in the user experience where a driver has to switch between the native system and the phone system to be able to accomplish all their tasks. For example, you might be using the built-in system to adjust the cabin temperature, and then you switch into Android Auto when you want to use Google Maps or Spotify. So also, as infotainment expands into multiple screens, like in the cluster display I was showing earlier, and it gets more and more deeply integrated into the car, it gets more challenging to be able to create one unified, seamless experience just from the phone. So we knew that we had a lot of work ahead of us to continue to enable this vision statement of creating a unified, seamless, completely seamless experience. So a few years ago, we started to talk to car makers about how we could work together to create this unified, seamless experience. Not surprisingly, many car makers were already experimenting with Android or using it in their cars for infotainment. But there was a lot of work to be done to adapt Android from mobile to the car. So we started to invest at that time in making Android a turnkey solution that industry partners could take and bring into the car easily without having to make significant changes, without having to change any of the core framework or APIs that make the Android platform so great for developers today. You may have seen some of the demos and prototypes that we showed the last couple years with Android running under the hood and many Google and third-party apps running on top. One of the first partners who we spoke with who got very excited about working with us on this project was Volvo. We engaged with them a couple of years ago and formally announced our partnership last year to bring Android, Google Maps, the Google Assistant, and the third-party app ecosystem through the Google Play Store to all of their cars. Volvo, in turn, introduced us to their performance and electric brand, Polestar. And just a few weeks ago, at the Geneva Auto Show, they unveiled the Polestar 2 that you see here. This will be the first consumer vehicle launching in 2020 to ship with the seamless experience that brings together Android, Google Apps, and the third-party app ecosystem. To tell you more about the car, the technology, and our partnership, we asked Polestar CEO Thomas Ingenlath to join us here today. Thomas has been the CEO of Polestar since June 2017 and also serves as the Chief Design Officer of Volvo Car Corporation. Previously, he was a Senior Vice President of Design at Volvo and has been the inspiration behind Volvo's award-winning design renaissance for years. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you. Thanks, Mickey. Yeah, hi, my name is Thomas Ingenlath. I'm the CEO of Polestar. Polestar is the new electric car brand from Sweden. We are the rebellious child of Volvo. And we want to make Polestar the guiding star of the new era in the automotive industry. With outstanding design, that is our religion. This is the Scandinavian pure progressive design that we bring with our great products. And this is the Polestar 2. Mickey said it, we launched it a couple of weeks ago in Geneva, and we brought it here today to the Google I/O. We are very enthusiastic about the joy and the fun that the electric propulsion brings to the car industry. And we take the safety, the protection of your life very serious. So we take the battery and like a Lego brick, we build it into a very tight unit with a car body, and that is a superb foundation for the outstanding safety of our cars. Range, 300 miles with a 78 kilowatt hours battery, and power, 300 kilowatt on front and rear axle, 660 newton meters. So it's a very powerful, fast and fun to drive car. For us, the seamless integration into your digital life is very important. So we have the Polestar app, which from the first browse to the car configurator to the offer of subscription of our car and ordering on-demand services like the pickup and delivery. All that done through one app with the Polestar brand. So, the great design on the exterior with the iconic graphics and the clear-cut architecture. It's not on the outside, it's as well our strong, powerful point in the interior. And while I drive that video here to you with great details of our Scandinavian interior, I want to tell you another story about what is great, what you experience inside the Polestar. The car industry has promised for a long, long time navigation that would be intuitive, navigation that would be up to date. And we actually failed. We failed big times from car generation to car generation. Same with voice recognition. So with the Polestar 2, we knew we have to do something radically different in that field, and we did. We teamed up with Google, and it was a great journey. Thanks a lot, Google. It was an amazing partnership, and we, I think, achieved something amazing here. We put an infotainment system that is powered by Android into the car, bringing built-in apps and optimized for the car apps and services for our customers. And that includes Google Assistant, that includes the Google Maps, and of course, the Google Play Store, all integrated into the car. So our customers, they can enjoy the superb artificial intelligence of the Google Assistant fast learning voice recognition to operate all the great apps and functions, having the hands on the steering wheel and having the eyes on the road, using it all through voice activation. And I want to demonstrate to you a couple of examples of how that works. So please, hey Google, show us the way to Pizzeria Roma.
Sure, getting the fastest route to Pizzeria Roma.
So you get the way without knowing the name of the street, without knowing the town, just say the restaurant where you want to go. Another example connected to living with an electric car. Hey Google, show charging stations nearby.
Showing results for charging stations nearby.
So, and that is a nice, reassuring list of charging stations that you get. So, you can navigate, you can plan your day, you can search for things, all using the time in your car efficiently without being distracted. I think that's really a great major improvement of the safety while using your car infotainment system. Out of the Google Play Store, you can download the apps that you like into one of the 4 tiles, and of course, you can swap in between these tiles with the apps. The car is always connected, so you do not have to use your phone. The Polestar 2 software will be updated over the air regularly, so the car will always stay up to date. We have Polestar 2 standing here in the sandbox. Please come and have a look. Join the coding sessions. And from today on, it's up to you to develop new apps and be creative, come up with new great ideas for apps used in the car. Visit our website. We have some inspiring proposals, ideas, how apps could be used in the car in the future. So please join the community and use the opportunities that we have with the infotainment system powered by Android. Now, I would end the session here thanking you for having the opportunity to come on stage and present. And I will do that with a last voice-activated action, and that goes like that. Google, please play At Last on Spotify.
Sure.
At last, my love has come along. My lonely days are over.
Thank you, Thomas. We're very excited about the car and the technology and bringing it to consumers next year, and thank you for bringing one here for all of us to see as well. I'm looking forward to driving one very soon too. But the clicker is not working. So there we go. So in addition to Polestar and Volvo, we also announced our partnership last year with the Renault-Nissan-Mitsubishi Alliance to bring Android and that third-party app ecosystem to their global range of cars. And we're not going to stop there. We know that having a large footprint is very important for developers to adapt your apps and services for these cars. So we continue to work with the rest of the industry as well on further adoption. I'm excited to say that we're seeing a ton of interest and momentum, so please stay tuned for more news on that. As we finish up, I want to recap the 3 in-car products where we're investing in offering users and our partners a choice. On the phone screen itself, you heard today about the Google Assistant's driving mode. That will be the next step in evolution of the Android Auto phone screen experience. There's Android Auto for the car screen, which since launching in 2015 has virtually become an industry standard and is on its way to being in more than 100 million cars. And last but not least, the Android Automotive OS, our in-car embedded platform that will be coming to market next year with the Polestar 2 and many more vehicles and partners soon after. So we covered a lot today about what we're doing to bring Android into cars. Thank you, Thomas, again for joining us from Sweden and sharing your car with us. Thank you, Ian, for coming up and sharing the fantastic insights behind the new Android Auto UI. You can check out both the Polestar and the Android Auto new UI in our sandbox today and the rest of the week here at I/O. Also, if you're interested in the details of how to build apps for these cars, please join the dedicated developer session tomorrow morning and check out our office hours later today. Thank you so much for joining us here today.